This one's for the culture. Me and wifey in the room thinking of a master plan, thinking how we can influence the culture from where we stand. Knowing that our steps are ordered by the master's hand, still 10 toes down, we ain't switching up the stance. The mission of this music ain't just to make them dance, trying to tell them about the rock.
Welcome everyone. We have made it to episode 11. Fast and moving as we are. An exciting evening to share with you all. We're actually getting ready to celebrate our anniversary.
2 years.
Shout out to our relationship goals.
Hey.
2 years down. Who knows how many more to go. I will outlive her, so that'll be fun.
You have the worst diet.
What do you mean I have the worst diet?
You're gonna outlive me.
Yeah. I drink water.
You swelling.
I eat meat. Healthy meat.
You
that's
eat
grilled
so much
and
meat.
oven.
You might as well be like a dinosaur. You are.
Yeah.
You eat way more meat than you do vegetables.
That's because that's what you cook.
That's what I've been cooking lately because that's what you wanted.
I eat what you cook.
Jesus.
So if I'm not eating vegetables, it's because she's not cooking
That's
them.
not true. I always make vegetables.
Okay, and I eat them.
Jeez. Okay.
The only thing I don't eat is salads because salads suck. But I eat them sometimes. It's just, they're not even super nutritious the way I eat them anyway. That is not what we're talking about today. This is not a health or nutrition episode because neither one of us are really that, to be perfectly honest. But we are trying our best. We're not. Stop. We're not. So thank you for joining us. Shout out to our EB Radio fam. I believe this will be our 4th episode with you all, so we're moving right along. Shout out to Bar and Bar Keem and all those people down there doing great work. I see that EB Radio is continuing to expand, doing some really great things. So glad we were a part of that. Also, shout out to our YouTube audience. Thank you all for continuing to subscribe. Thank you for continuing to watch. Thank you for continuing to listen. I've been seeing a number of likes. I've been seeing a number of shares. So we definitely appreciate it. To all our people that are listeners only, shout out to y'all. I can't do it, but I appreciate y'all for doing it. Yeah, just really grateful.
You can't do what? I'm confused.
Just listen to a podcast.
Oh, okay.
I prefer to watch. That's just how it works.
Oh. No, I can listen to one. I listen to a couple.
I can. Like, I listen to, like, sermons and stuff like that, but I prefer, if I have the option, to watch it. So, let me take it back. Not that I can't. I prefer to watch. So, shout out to y'all. We've been doing some good numbers over there as well. So, just really exciting times. We got a lot going on. Coming off my birthday here in the last month, going into Mother's Day and our anniversary. School just got cut a week short.
Yeah.
Which is just a whole different conversation as well. But we want to talk about our relationships, our relationship goals, and what the heck does that really mean? So in recent news, we saw that super intelligent, a little quirky guy.
He's a lot quirky.
He's a lot quirky.
Yeah.
Bill and Melinda Gates, shocker, are getting a divorce. And similar to Jeff Bezos, it seems pretty kosher.
Yeah, which, I guess at that point, unless there's something like serious going on, what do you really have to drag
Jeff
out
was
for?
cheating. Like, you would think even when you're that rich, that would mean something.
So he was cheating like the whole time?
I think he was cheating for a little bit.
He was cheating while they were separated? Because I was under the guise that he was cheating while they were separated.
Oh, no, I thought he was cheating.
Oh, it was before.
Helped prompt the decision. Because she's young.
Mackenzie is?
Yeah.
Compared to Jeff Bezos?
Right.
Go figure.
So yeah, Bill and Melinda been married. I thought they'd been married longer, actually.
No, he was already a billionaire when they got married.
Yeah, with no prenup.
That was the shocker for me.
Neither one, Jeff or him, didn't have a prenup, surprisingly.
Different times, I guess. They thought it was going to last forever, and forever was only 20-something years.
I don't care how happy I am at the altar. If I got billion anywhere near me, ain't no way.
Prenup.
Absolutely.
Prenup.
Absolutely.
Guess I'm glad I got in now, huh?
Yeah, 100%. And then sometimes no, I'm just playing. No.
It's too late now.
Yeah, it is. So keep those businesses going because I'm gonna need that. But yeah, I don't understand how two people that are so important, or not important, are so intelligent, would make those kind of decisions. Like, I'm sure that conversation has to come up at some point, and they're just like, yeah, I'm so rich I can eat whatever I give.
I feel like that's probably what the mindset was. Like, he was, like I said, when Bill married Melinda, he was already a billionaire. And so it's like, what's half of $1 billion? Like, and he knew, and I think he was like 30 something when they got married. So he knew over the next, let's say, 25, 30 more years, he stood to make a few more $1 billion. So he probably wasn't super. He probably wasn't super concerned about how much he could potentially lose.
So in their situation, I could kind of see it because they have the foundation, which is basically like give away 90% of whatever you have when you die.
Yeah.
So naturally, he's philanthropic. Naturally, they're givers. But I just don't think I would want to give that away.
Well, like we've had this discussion many times. And I guess that's just, obviously it's the difference between him and you. But at the same time, you also have to think about the tax bracket you're in. You, obviously, are a little lower.
A lot. Like, insurmountably. Like.
So when you think about losing half of everything you have, like, you already feel like there's so much more you can get. But starting off, let's say we're 30, well, you're 33. We got divorced and I took half of everything. Like, you're basically starting your whole financial life over. Whereas him, you get half of everything. I'm still straight. That's still more money than most people can spend in their several lifetimes.
I mean, I'm with you. I 100% agree. But if that is the mentality, then, like, prenups are for rich people. Prenups aren't for poor people. So why did these two super rich, Elon Musk is another one who's been divorced twice.
But he's had prenups both times, right? I thought he had.
I didn't know if he did for one of them. Because one of them, he took a beating. Not to mention the legal fees involved. I don't understand it. And then for them, like, I get Jeff, cheating and all that. I haven't heard anything as to why, other than their statement that just basically said, we've realized we're not going to grow together or something.
Yeah, so
what the heck does that even mean?
They released a joint statement when they announced the divorce. Basically, our kids are grown and we feel like at this point we can no longer grow together. And I read that and I'm like, okay, I guess maybe they have some difference. I mean, and then for what it's worth, I read another article that basically the majority of their marriage, he's had like a arrangement, to put it, where he and his ex-girlfriend could like go away for a week at a time, once a month or something like that.
Now we talking.
Oh, jeez.
Now, I mean, not like I'm not supportive of that, but that makes sense.
And so there was that, and then.
But she agreed to that.
I'm assuming at some point if it's true, then yeah, she probably did. But I also was thinking, like, they've been married again 27, almost 30 years. Their kids are grown. I'm sure throughout the course of their relationship, if there's always been things that they could never see eye to eye on, they always probably tried to make things work out because of their kids. But now the kids are probably gone, not living at home. They're not a buffer. And they did say that they had been in counseling. They tried to work through their stuff, but they couldn't. So it's like, at this point, I don't want to spend the last 30 years of my life, or however many years I have left, arguing with you about things that we've been arguing about for the past 30 years. I don't know what kind of issue you would argue with someone over for 30 years. So I guess that's one way to look at it.
Like, but when you're that rich, and I'm obviously not that rich. I may never be that rich. But I would imagine you have a lot of other people helping you raise the kids. The houses you live in, the vacations you take are massive. They're expansive. You could have got divorced earlier.
And that's
like,
always
to say for the
too.
Kids. Find that hard to believe.
I mean, at that level of, financial security, yeah, that's probably not as big of an issue. But regular people, a lot of regular people, like there was this one couple that lived in my neighborhood when we were kids. I remember listening to the grown-ups talk, and I was like, as soon as their kids move out, they're going to get divorced. They're actually still married, still super happy and all of that. But a lot of those other couples,
I've heard that. Somebody I know has shared a similar sentiment. And that's a long time.
It is. It's a really long time. And if you're miserable, what do you... Again, I'm not advocating for divorce or anything like that. But if you just cannot get over whatever the issues are in your relationship, I personally don't understand how you live with that for 20 years while you're waiting for your kids to grow up or something of that nature. Like, yeah, and then, but at the flip side, you've been with this person for 30 years. Like, and at that point, you're not a spring chicken anymore on either side.
On the last pod, like on either starting side. Over at what he's
60 something.
So naturally, typically, he's gonna go find a young woman. Mm-hmm. That's career, whatever. Like, what does that work?
The crazy thing is, like, obviously we've both been on social media since this has been announced, and the stuff that people are posting on social media about, like, shooting your shot at Bill or Melinda.
I have seen some.
I've seen some really funny ones. But realistically, it's like, that's what they have to look forward to now. Like, I don't know, Bill...
DMs are going to be flooded?
DMs are loaded right now. I don't know necessarily if Bill is still looking for that sort of thrill in his life.
He's a man.
This is true. And, there are lots of innovations with science where, things still function.
Well involved or knowledgeable of what his options are.
And so it just brings to mind, like, Hugh Hefner and all those older gentlemen with hordes of young women basically throwing themselves at him.
Yeah, I'm not going to go down the Hugh Hefner route. I have a number of probably unflattering things, and a lot of women love him. So the man's gone. I'm going to leave him dead. He is dead, right?
Yeah, he's been passed away a few years ago.
All right. So, the other thing that I thought was interesting in all of this is Mackenzie, per her divorce, became the third richest woman in the world.
And that's, without really having to do anything except get
tolerate
divorced.
him for 25 years and
now you're the third richest woman in the world.
And from what I was reading, because of the situation, she could have got like double the money she got, but she didn't. And she's given a bunch of it away.
What did you read that she's not getting more? Because what he gave her, the day that they announced the divorce, that day he gave her like $1 billion in stock options and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so per the terms of the divorce, it was valued, and this might be updated for the current value of the stock. It was like $35 billion. But that, again, they didn't have the prenup. So she could have gotten, the article I was reading, double what she chose to take. Especially given the publicity of the affair. Like, with that being so obvious in the state that they live or were married in. Like,
community property states. That get you every time.
She could have got even more.
But that's the thing, like, they're not even done dividing things up yet, because this doesn't include, like, properties, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, that also brings in money, and she's staying on as co-chair, but that's still, like, something that they have to reorganize now. It's just going to be real interesting to see how it all breaks down and what she really walks away with.
And from what I also heard, they're using the same lawyers.
Yeah,
so,
as Jeff Bezos, and again, I guess I don't want to call them ambulance chasers, but it's like they're always the same lawyers that represent all these sorts of things, all these sorts of cases. I guess Kim Kardashian's lawyer has done a bunch of celebrity divorces.
If you're a woman and she's getting woman money, why wouldn't you hire her if you can afford her, or make him pay for her?
Yeah, I guess that is also an attempt.
So that, I'm glad you bring up Kim and Kanye. We've talked about them on this podcast before. Again, huge Kanye fan. Yeezy, shout out that. Excited for the Yeezy Gap partnership. Whenever that comes this summer, I will be in line.
Really?
I don't know if it's actually in line.
I was going to say, you don't stand in line anymore.
I stand in line on a computer.
Okay.
And let that thing spin and spin. You've been through the heartbreak.
And then get rejected after the spinning. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's a tough way to make a living. But I think it's interesting, and that's gone really quiet.
That's because I don't think they're getting divorced.
So
everything.
It seems like all the focus has been on everyone else's relationship. Chloe's relationship, trash.
Tristan Thompson.
Courtney and what's the dude's name?
Travis Barker.
Travis Barker.
People love them together though. It's super weird.
It's weird.
Every time I see it on like my Instagram feed, I'm like, oh yeah, they are together.
I feel like that's, and I don't know Travis. He could be a great guy. I feel like she's going through like the bad boy. Like
she was with Scott for 20 years.
Scott
was awful.
He looks the part.
Oh.
Travis looks like the guy you don't want to bring home to your parents.
Yeah, this is true.
And he acts like the guy that you don't want to bring home to your parents. But they've been friends. I know that happens. So when you're lonely or in a place, you reach out to a friend, they're available. I wish them the best, but it is awkward. Kylie, I think it's Kylie, or Kendall and Devin Booker have been still doing their thing. I don't know what Kylie's doing. She's still...
I don't either, actually.
I see she's with Travis. They have the kid with Travis, right?
Yeah, she has the kid with Travis.
I know Tiger's still pissed. Like, he was around all that time when she was a little baby, and no one gives him any grief for it. And then as soon as she got grown, she dropped that man and had a baby with another man. I would love to have a behind the scenes of how all that went down.
It's probably crazy.
Yeah. Because I think that was around the same time as Lamar and Chloe.
Splitting up.
Yeah. And then Kim, I think, was just getting started. No.
With Kanye?
Yeah.
No, they had been together for a little bit.
A little bit? Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, to live in that family, that'd be crazy. And then that might have been the time that the brother was dealing with the girl.
China, it was. And so the joke was, if Tyga and Kylie had, stayed a thing, her kid with Tyga and Black China's kid with Rob would have been sister, cousin, something like that. It was just weird.
Hollywood.
Exactly, Hollywood.
And these are the relationship goals that people want.
The Kim and Kanye's divorce, like, again, I don't think it's actually happening, personally. I saw, what was it?
Has their last season of their show ended?
So they're like midway through that last season. Okay. And I saw like a preview, that's what I was going to say. I saw a preview when Kim decides that, maybe her and Kanye aren't going to work out. And so she's talking to Chris and all that, blah, 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 blah. But I remember when she was going to when she married Chris Humphries, like there was a preview for the wedding episode where she had to change her last name. Like she had to fill out the paperwork so she could change her last name. And she hesitated. She's like, I don't want his last name and all this kind of stuff. And Courtney asked her, do you really want to get married? And she like hesitated. And, it was all this drama. They got married and then they got divorced like 6 months later.
I thought it was like
it was 72 days later. And so all of this stuff has been building up around her and Kanye since like last summer.
Mm-hmm.
And then out of the blue, I think they celebrate their anniversary. And then right after, they announced they're getting divorced. But no one said anything about it since then. Nothing has happened. Like, TMZ hasn't even talked about it.
Nothing.
And if TMZ ain't talking about it, that means it's not happening.
Like, I haven't seen them together on anything. She still wears Yeezys all the time.
She still has all, like, when her, and for what it's worth, when she splits up with anybody, the pictures of her and said person gone, like, the next day, immediately. She still has everything up from her and Kanye. So, it's interesting.
I mean, they're now both billionaires.
Yeah.
So they have that. I am rooting for them. I hope they work. But it's going to be interesting. I don't know if it's a COVID thing. Like I said, it's just been quiet. And that is not a family that keeps things quiet.
Everything be everywhere.
To me, it sounds like there might be like real work happening. If there was even a real problem. Or Kanye was like, all right, I'm done with the charade.
Yeah.
Like, I played this game. I hyped your last season of your show. Leave me alone. You ain't gotta take no pictures, but all this drama in the news, I'm sick of it.
I'm done with it, yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. Another that people get really excited, a woman, and there's a number of these women, but we're going to focus on one today, is Jennifer Lopez. And since I've been a kid, Jenny on the Block was it. And I still watch award shows as of the most recent. J-Lo's on it.
Yeah.
And she's doing her thing. She's still J-Lo. She's been, I think she got 5 rings now. I think is the count. And she never seems to make it, or nothing seems to last.
Well, she married Mark Anthony.
That's what I said, or nothing seems to last.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they were married, and I think they were married for like 7 or 8 years.
Yeah. So, we talked the last time about like high value men, high value women. And I guess what I don't understand, it's like on the one hand, I see the really, really rich people. We talk about Jeff and Melinda, or Jeff and Bill. And then you have the really, really attractive and really, really successful people. Why can't they make it? And if they can't make it, how the heck do the rest of us make it?
So I don't think you should put it in that perspective. Because if you do, like, that means regular people can't have successful relationships.
I mean, statistics
and we see successful relationships around us. Like, people struggle, but like our pastors, prime example.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So outside of church people,
Barack and Michelle, they have a successful relationship.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, so did Donald and Melania.
I mean, she didn't really like him very much while he was in office, but
Hey,
they seem like they're together now.
All right.
Other regular people, Rich and Gina, they seem to have a really cool relationship.
Okay, that's fair.
Rick and Isabella, like,
I said outside of church.
Oh, outside of church.
Which both of those groups are.
Which both of those groups are. My auntie Sonia and my uncle AJ, my aunts and uncles, been together for forever.
Okay. That's fair. I mean, I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. I'm just saying when the really, really rich and the really, really successful can't. I guess I'm just not aware of their problems enough to understand what can go wrong. Like,
I mean, but you're under the mindset that money fixes everything.
Not everything.
And for you, money fixes
if
most.
I had a bunch of money, man.
But again,
Jesus, let me have a chance. Just give me one chance to prove you right or wrong.
But see, and then I guess that's also a misconception that even though they have all that money, that doesn't mean that everything is okay within themselves, which I think is a lot of times what the, demise of these relationships boils down to.
Man.
Like, if you look at A-Rod and J-Lo, like, he was cheating. And he wasn't just cheating, like, he was, like, getting down.
I mean, he cheated at baseball. What do you expect? Like...
No, He cheated in
You cheat on at your job, you're going to cheat on your girl.
I mean, this is true.
Cheaters cheat.
Cheaters cheat. We have discussed that. But like to that extent, when we've talked about this, like you are with a beautiful, beautiful person inside and out, and you're cheating on said person. Why?
So are all beautiful people trash?
No, I don't believe that at all.
So why do they keep getting cheated on?
I don't know. Like, that's not a question I can answer personally. Like, it's just at that level, like you said in another, podcast, men and women for that matter have access. Mm-hmm. And it's not that, my person who I'm with isn't beautiful and attractive and successful, but this other person is also beautiful and attractive, and she's probably saying all the right things and making me feel really good about myself and all that stuff. I'm gonna go and sleep with her this one time and see how that goes. And either way, I still have this beautiful, attractive person sitting at home waiting for me. Not that it makes it okay, but that logic is probably very strong at that tax bracket.
Like, I get ego, I get pride, I get arrogance. But I also, like, we talk about, like, Quavo and Sweetie. That makes sense. They're young. A-Rod's in his 40s, J-Lo's in, like, her 50s. Mm-hmm. Bezos and these other, they're old. Like,
at what point do you just want to chill out?
Yeah, like, and not be a cheater. Like, you got mad kids, you've been married mad long. Like, just be faithful to the one you're with. Like,
or maybe that's the problem. Like, they don't want to be faithful anymore. They don't want the stress and whatever of being faithful. But they also don't want to continue to be trash. So, get divorced. Again, I'm not condoning it, but if there's an easier way to just go out and live your life. So,
you get the 40 and 50 and you decide, I want to be a hoe.
It happens. Clearly.
So, okay, maybe, so like Jeff, Bill, these people, they're really smart,
Yeah.
Nerds don't get a lot of love early on in life. And so maybe they missed that phase of life where most people get, the whole side out. Where you're partying and you're popping bottles and you're banging mad chicks. Like, maybe they missed that era and they got married too early. And so now they're like, I'm going to die soon. So I should get to live that out. And because I'm really rich, I can just pay her basically to go away and then hire escorts. Like, that seems awful.
That's probably not the mindset though, Ray. Like, I don't know. Jeff Bezos has been in a relationship since him and Mackenzie got divorced. He was with some woman. I can't remember her name. She's not important.
I don't know. And they have the best counselors. So it's not like there's an inability to get help.
Oh yeah, they have access to all the best of everything.
Like, you have the money, you have the vacations,
But again, if they're at a point where they've been in therapy for 20 out of the 27 years they've been married.
So is it just stubborn?
Possibly.
Like,
especially at that point.
Like, we have our issues. But I would like to believe that 2 years down, 23 years from now, we're not still having the same fights.
I would like to think so too. But the older someone gets, especially at that level, they've got all this money, they probably don't feel super inclined, especially at this point in their lives, to make any more changes, to make any more concessions than what they possibly already have in the course of 30 years of marriage. So again, it's like, do I want to keep arguing with you about...
But you won't argue with somebody. Ain't no relationship perfect.
But at this point, they don't, like you just said, they pay the escort or the little ditzy girl to sleep with them for a little while, and then they just move on to the next one.
Okay, so and that makes sense. So if you're not looking for a relationship and you're like, I'm just done being in a relationship, I don't get it, but I get it. Like, all right, you can go, like I said,
go live your life. Yeah.
Go live your life. But to get back in another relationship.
And that's what would be interesting. Like, if Bill decides, a few years from now, he's met some woman and he wants to get married. And then if she's young, she's probably going to want to have kids. And he's like, he's knocking on his 70s, 80s?
I think 65, so yeah.
65. So, a few years from now, if he decides he wants to have a whole nother family, like, what does that look like? Now,
there's no way. For him. If his idea was, I want another family, you had one. So why the heck did you give it up? And I was reading something like with Elon Musk, and shout out to Elon. Keep that Dogecoin running. Appreciate that.
I know, I can't wait for Saturday.
I know. Well, Saturday.
Oh yeah, true enough.
So hopefully, we obviously record before Saturday, but hopefully good things happen. Keep them Doges going. But the thing like Elon, I've heard this with other people, like he married someone, I forget the girl's name. They got divorced. They got remarried. He paid her $4 million, so I think they might have had a prenup. Gave her $4 million. They got married later that year. He proposed. He divorced her again later, like shortly thereafter. She got $16 million.
What? Are you for real?
Yeah. So he married her, divorced her, married her again, divorced her again.
That's why Tesla stock is so volatile.
But that speaks to him because he does some really crazy stuff. And then and I think they had like 7 kids. He has a bunch of kids. And he had the one recently with the craziest name ever.
Yeah.
Which no one knows.
It was like a math term.
Yeah, stop. People are just too smart for their own good. So that brings us to who are relationship goals? Like, we look at the world and we see, I think a lot of it is based off social media. Quavo and Sweetie was the thing for the Mint for a while. Before that, Jay and Bay. I think that was kind of the epitome of what celebrity relationship goals was supposed to be.
Because for a long time, I mean, and especially in Black culture, it was like Will and Jada.
Yeah.
Denzel and his wife, before everybody found out that Denzel cheats.
I think Denzel was just like the hottest guy in the world. I don't think, like, no one knows her name.
You're right, because I have no idea.
No one even knew their kid for the longest time. And he's actually a really good actor.
He's a really good actor.
So I don't know. I've never heard anyone like, I want Denzel's relationship. Women just wanted Denzel. Angelina and Brad had a run.
But I actually never liked their relationship. I didn't.
I don't really like her.
That was part of it. Like, I was not happy with how their relationship came to be. And to me, if that's how you got him, that's how you're going to lose him. So.
Because he was with Jennifer first, right?
Yeah. And
I like them.
I love them. I love them together. They were
but she's
so
also
cute.
had a number of failed relationships.
She has. Ever since Brad, basically.
Yeah.
There have been no successful relationships.
Yeah. Brittany and Justin were a thing for a minute.
Yeah, but then she cheated and ruined it all.
Well, the most recent doc, which I haven't watched, he apologized.
I mean, he apologized because her life sucks.
But a lot of that was because of what he, quote unquote, did to her during that time frame and how he's treated her since.
I'll have to watch this because you're not the first person to mention this documentary to me.
I heard it's really good.
Yeah, me too. There's like a petition to save her from her dad.
We can talk about celebrities and their parents, and that's a whole other discussion. But yeah, I don't know that there was a relationship goal that worked. I guess maybe Barack and Michelle, but I feel like we don't know a lot about their relationship. Like, we see them, but we don't know them. Like, their daughters are pretty much live their own lives now. They're grown from what I can understand.
Yeah, Sasha.
They're out of the spotlight.
Sasha's dating like a Malia. Which one is the older one? The older one's dating like royalty or something like that. And Sasha, the younger one, she's in college and living it up.
Yeah. So I think that's the part that doesn't get discussed enough about when we crown these relationship goal kings and queens. Is the success rate's really, really low.
But again, so like, what are we defining when you say relationship goals? What are they? Like, what is that specifically?
I mean, I think it's the quote unquote American dream of relationships. You know, you got the money, you got the lifestyle, you got the clothes, you got the shoes, you got the vacations, you got the family, you got the kids, you got the family pictures, you got the dream of what you think marriage should be, what you grew up on TV, where they just love each other and they give each other what's the PDA? Public displays of affection. Like, I think that's it. And, you know, they take all the cool Instagram pics. And right now we got Lori, Harvey, and Michael B. Jordan. And
they are a very good-looking Instagrammable couple.
Right. They're all over the world. And Steve Harvey says, I wanted to find something wrong with him, but I just couldn't.
Steve said that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Steve's a clown.
He is.
Get your dollar, Steve, but you're a clown, bro. So I guess I don't know. I understand in this culture, especially a social media culture, most of what you see is fake. Whether it's a rapper, whether it's an entertainer, whether it's an Instagram model with millions of followers, like, the reality of their life isn't real.
Yeah.
And I think relationships, and the part that no one wants to talk about or deal with, is it takes work. And it's not just, oh, our life sucks, let's go to therapy. Like, it's every single day. It's work. It's work when you wake up. It's work in the middle of the day. It's work before you go to sleep. Like, it's work. In the same way.
You want to get off your chest a bit?
I mean, I feel like I just did it. Like, it's constant work. You don't get to take a vacation from your relationship. And I think it can be a lot. But I don't know if because people are really rich, or I can't even say that because poor people get divorced at a crazy rate too. I don't know if people just get tired of one another and then they don't want to put in the work, so they quit them like they quit their jobs. We talked about kind of the process in our last pod about how you really are conditioned to get comfortable breaking up. Like,
yeah,
the idea is, I'll go to the bar or go to the club, I'll meet someone, have a good time, it's over. And you just repeat the cycle of constantly getting comfortable with breaking up with someone. And the idea to fight isn't what it used to be. But I think that's the real relationship goal. And I don't think people talk enough also, the people that have had successful relationships, they don't talk enough about that. About the grind, the potential. I know some people that are successful, I won't put them out on here, but have went years in their marriage without speaking. Have gone extended periods of time where they didn't like each other. But people think, he's mad at me today, he didn't text me back, he didn't speak to me for a week, I'm over it.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, one, we have the signs around here, for $100 you can get divorced. Like,
and that's, to me, in itself is crazy, because when we got together, like, we were both coming off the heels of relationships that did not work. You'd been married, and I'd been in a 4-year relationship that I thought was going somewhere, and it didn't. And we both decided then and there, like, we're friends, we love each other as friends. Like, we can just stay friends and support each other the same way we've been supporting each other. Or if we jump into this relationship, this is forever. And I think for us, the friendship obviously helps with a lot of things, because it does give us something to fall back on during difficult times. But I think for me, I try to remember that we did tell each other, this is it, this is forever. And sure, I don't like you in this moment, but...
You're on me right now?
No, not like right. Like in a time of disagreement. Gotcha. Sure, I don't like you right now, but I don't believe that I could ever not like you for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And again, like, I don't think the stuff that we disagree about now is the stuff that we'll disagree about.
I hope we got to evolve.
20 years from now. But it's so, because, and it's a lot of factors. Everything's so short-sighted now.
Mm-hmm.
People forget that, yeah, I don't agree with you about this today. And I'm really not feeling you because of this today. But then I'm not going to feel the same way a week from now. I'm not going to feel the same way 2 weeks from now. And if I still feel like I'm going to be upset, then we need to talk about it. Mm-hmm. We need to figure it out. As opposed to getting on social media and telling the whole world, yo, my partner sucks. Or, like all of the things that we see in not just celebrity relationships, but in people's relationships, that we know. And even I'm guilty of it. Like, there have been times where you've pissed me off. I'll go ahead and post a subliminal message and call it a day. Instead of coming and talking to you, it doesn't get anything solved. But in that moment, it might have made me feel better. And I think too many people are living for like that moment in which I won this argument, I won this fight.
You never win an argument.
I don't typically, but I'm just saying in the context of this conversation.
Okay. They feel like they won.
They feel like they won said argument because they were able to hit a low blow and make the other person feel some type of way.
Gotcha. So I actually have just thought through this, and I have two scenarios, and I'd be curious to know your take. So we talked about different relationships, and we talk about people that got married, got divorced, and they're still looking for someone. Do you think that those people regret getting a divorce? You can enter a Jennifer Aniston, someone like Rihanna, that they didn't get married. She didn't obviously marry Chris, and they may not have ever worked. But it seems like the people that you feel like, Brittany and Justin, whoever you want to put in this category, that end up going long periods of time without finding true love, do you think they regret not fighting more for that first situation, even if in that moment they felt it was really bad?
That's a good question. Like, I don't know, because obviously, especially when we're talking about getting a divorce, everybody is different. It takes, everyone a different level of, a different level of just over it to decide, okay, I've been married for X amount of years, but I'm miserable. This person I'm with is miserable. I don't want to be miserable anymore. What does my life look like after being miserable? And a lot of times, obviously, people decide that their life is going to be a lot better if they just decide to cut their losses and go. Now, whether that turns out to be true or not, you don't find that out until after you step out there. So, and I guess in regards to people who never find anything or have a hard time afterwards, they probably do feel some type of way sometimes, because they start to, think in hindsight the things that they were dealing with in said relationship may not have been that bad. So they probably could have worked it out if they, depending on, but then it really just depends on the situation, what they got divorced for, what were the problems that made them decide that they wanted to walk away. And then speaking, obviously I've been in a position where a relationship ends and it's like, now I'm back out here, back in the streets, like sifting through these people, and it sucks. And I mean, most of the people I know now who are single, I hear the same stories, like the dating pool sucks, people don't know how to talk anymore, people don't know how to date anymore, and it's just trash.
So the world is just full of trash people?
I don't think the world is full of trash people. Again,
trash single people.
and this is a Kevin Samuels thing, I think people's expectations are not right. I think everyone expects for someone to be
the relationship goal.
The relationship goal.
So everybody wants the Michael B. Jordan.
Right, but they don't realize
they're not Lori Hart.
No, not even like not physically, but like even just emotionally. People want these grand relationships and all these things, but then on the inside, they're still carrying hurt from their last 5 failed relationships and all of their divorces, and like people are still walking around with so much. And so when someone's coming into their life, it's like, well, if you don't have this, and this, I don't even want to talk to you. And then let the person make a mistake, or again, a lot of people now don't know how to communicate. So let the person not know how to communicate what they need from them in order to give them what they need. It all just turns into a big mess. And the relationship is over before it really gets started.
Interesting. So I agree that I think it's different, especially if you factor in kind of like physical abuse or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's interesting when I look at Jay-Z and Beyonce. And by all accounts, Jay-Z was not Jay-Z. Well, yeah, him too. But Beyonce at that time was queen of the world. In some cases, she I was gonna say, in some cases, some people think she still is. I think that time is gone, but so be it. But I can only imagine the level of pressure that she must have felt to be like, 1, personally, what she had to deal with. 2, that it was broadcast publicly. And then 3, having to make that decision.
Wait, what was broadcast publicly?
His adultery.
For what it's worth, his adultery was broadcasted publicly because she put it out there. They had already dealt with it, been through it, fixed their relationship, and moved on.
Okay.
Then she released an album where she talked about it, and everybody was like, wait, when did this happen?
Well, I don't follow her. And maybe that, I'm not going to argue with your timeline. I thought there was stuff before that, because... So when the elevator happened after the album?
The elevator happened before the album. The elevator happened like a few years before the album, though.
Right.
It wasn't like...
So I thought that was, from the male side, that was my understanding. That's where that came from.
I mean, I think later on there was clarity that put some things in perspective, that the elevator situation is something that was, happened because of him cheating. But at the time it happened, we didn't know why it happened. We just saw...
I feel... Sure, we didn't know. From where I was from, that was why else would that happen? At least that was my take on society at that time. Or the people I talked to, that was our take. Like, duh.
Oh.
Like, she ain't... And mainly because Beyonce didn't intervene.
Yeah.
So like, you ain't just gonna let your sister just start wailing on your man's.
Facts.
And you just stand there, unless
smile on her face.
Unless something pretty bad has transpired.
Yeah.
But my point was, she had a decision, and she could have taken the divorce route, and financially she would have been successful. Musically, she would have been successful. And I think he would have as well, because they're smart people. They're great with business. But I think that life would have not been nearly as fulfilling as the life that they currently live. They wouldn't have had all the kids that they have. And I think they were better for it. So I respect that decision. And we're still kind of waiting to see what happens with Derek Jackson and his wife. They've been really quiet recently. I haven't heard his name too much.
I feel like he can't really say too much right now because his credibility is shot. So
agreed. But they haven't filed for divorce either.
True.
And so
True.
I am curious to see how long he can, he still got to put food on the table.
Yeah.
So he has a responsibility as a husband to figure it out.
I'm just working on a new book right now. That's probably
that could be it. That could be it. But I do think it's interesting. Obviously, I took the normal route when that came up. moved on. And I don't really feel like I think about what could have been. Probably because I'm in another relationship and life's pretty great. But I just wonder when you're on that level, and to the Kevin Samuels point, and he should probably start paying us because we keep shouting him out. The amount of people that you have at that level to find, because we were watching a little Asian show, whatever you had, like, if you're, especially a woman that has that much wealth, that much fame, that much acclaim, to find a man that can come close to that, I feel like your pool is super small.
For sure.
And the people in that pool are probably are a lot like the men you probably have been dating. So you're probably going to keep getting the same results, which is typically what we see, where these women just keep going through a variety of successful people, and then eventually they might marry their dancer because they're sick of trying to find an artist. And then that doesn't work either.
And so I guess, but speaking specifically to the Jay-Z and Beyonce situation, like I won't even go there. I'll go Cardi and Offset. Because Cardi and Offset, they've been through a lot of their drama pretty much since they've been together. She filed for divorce last year, and then, changed her mind. But people started giving her flack about it on Instagram, social media, all of that. And for what it's worth, like, I don't agree with a lot of this stuff that Cardi says, because I just don't. But this is probably the most insightful thing I've ever heard her say, in all honesty. But basically, she was like, when you marry someone, you're marrying, it's a commitment. And regardless of what might be going on the outside, if you and said person can get past your issues, that's what you hold on to, basically. And her perspective is like, we're young, we're going to do stupid stuff, we're going to make mistakes, but we love each other. We're going through it just like everybody else in this world is going through it, but we're on a broad national, international scale. Everybody sees us mess up. I'm not going to let what you guys have to say about my relationship determine what I'm going to do in my relationship. Personally, I would have kicked Offset to the curb. Like, you're not going to keep cheating on me. Like, I might be able to forgive you one time. Might. And that's a really big might. But multiple times over, nah, you can miss me. To Jay-Z and Beyonce. Obviously, I have no idea to the extent in which Jay-Z was cheating on Beyonce. Obviously, to her, it wasn't bad enough to throw away their whole relationship. And for what it's worth, they have come back stronger. Excuse me, Jesus.
Look who got the gas now.
Anyway,
her and her great diet.
Anyway, they've come back stronger. Like, they seem closer now than before. They've got more kids, more success. I hope they drop another album so I can go see them on tour, all of that. And if she had decided to leave at that first instance or whatever, what would her life look like now? Would she be as happy? And obviously that's not something she was concerned about.
I think it's something she thought about.
Yeah, for sure.
I think she figured he made it right, however he did that, and she felt it was worth staying. Similar with Vanessa and Brian and everything that they went through, and by all accounts, they went on to live a great life.
Super happy life,
he,
yeah.
Was around. So I definitely think it's interesting. I think there's two sides to it. Specifically in the entertainment field and industry, I feel like there's a common theme. And the common theme that we've talked about in all of these relationships is infidelity. And so I've asked this question before, kind of privately, and so I'm not going to go to the church route of it. I'm just going to go from a human aspect. Do you think, and this is a question that I've heard come up a lot, that monogamy is natural? or is polygamy natural?
It's the dumbest question. For men, like,
no, don't do that.
No.
Okay, actually, you know what? You can do that. I'll let that go. If that's your perspective, go ahead.
So I think it's easier for women to be monogamous.
Explain why it's easier.
I just do. I just naturally think it's easier for us to be monogamous.
Like genetically, or like what do you mean?
Like, men have the desire to conquer and plow and, spread their seed. Like, natural, innate desire. That's what you guys were created to do, basically. And so that desire, depending on said man, is harder to deny, which is why, we see so many men just out here doing their thing. Yeah, I see your face. I don't know. I think that's a dumb question. I don't think that polygamy is more natural than wanting to be with one person. I personally, and I guess this is the only way that I can speak to this subject, I don't desire to have more than one spouse. I want to build a life with one person. I want to share experiences with one person. I feel like all of that is diluted if you're trying to share equal time with 6 different husbands or 6 different wives or whatever the case may be. It's stressful for one, because you're having to deal with all these different personalities and all these different issues.
You do what you don't.
No, do you realize, okay, just devil's advocate. You're married, and you're married to 4 different women for 25 years, or whatever. In that 25 years, you've probably had the same argument at different stages of your relationship, 25 years, 4 different times, over and over and over again.
But that's why I completely disagree. Because when you start arguing, you got 3 other wives.
But no, yeah. So you won't argue with the one wife. Okay, whatever. So you go to the next wife, and she wants to argue with something.
No, she's not.
She'll let you do your thing and chill or whatever.
Blah, 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 blah.
And then she'll have something that she wants to argue with you about. And so it's okay, let's go to wife number 3. She will deal with you for however she's going to deal with you. And then she's probably got an issue too. Meanwhile, at your other 2 houses with your other 2 wives, they're probably bickering with each other, waiting for that next opportunity to bicker with you. There's no way that you escape that scenario. At least I've seen it on TV.
Really?
Yeah,
No. So that's your basis? What you see on some TV show?
I mean, they're married. It's in real life. He's living a cul-de-sac. He hops from house to house to house.
So we're not gonna believe that any of that's for the cameras.
I'm not saying none of it's for the cameras, but
I've seen marriage on TV and it looks awful. I'm saying in real life, I've heard or read stories about polygamists and how crappy their lives really are, because they've basically built this cult of women around them, and each woman has an issue with maybe another one of the women or with him. So I'm not disagreeing, and I'm not advocating for polygamy. I didn't really get a chance to speak to that. I guess my thought process is I agree with your premise and all of the potential issues. I guess what I get lost on is I don't know anyone. That's not true. I know one couple that met one person and stayed with that person for forever. Well, until now. And I don't know much of the intricacies of their relationship, but it seems to me the easier thing to do is to go out and do whatever you want. I feel like the struggle and some of the frustration that comes with marriage is not being able to get what you want. It's not being able to and we've had this discussion, in times of conflict, have an outlet. And so I think when you don't have that, you can tend to build up resentment and hatred towards the person you're with, because you're forced to swallow and deal with a bunch of stuff. Mm-hmm. So I think each side has its own set of problems. And just for clarity before we get out of here, women have a ton of partners too. It's not this man thing.
I'm not saying women don't have a bunch of partners
out in the streets. Women today, especially these women rappers, let them tell it, are it. They're up.
Yeah.
Now, Meg talked all that stuff and now she booed up. Same thing with Cardi. Same with all these women. They talk all that trash and then they run to a man and they want a man. So the stuff, ladies, the stuff you're hearing on the radio, it's not real. They don't really want that. They say that to y'all the same way Jeezy told his trap or die and sent his kid to college. They say that stuff to get y'all money. But the reality is, they don't want to be out in the streets. They don't want to be out in the club. They don't want to have ladies' night all the time.
But that answers your own question. Like, realistically, most people want to be in a relationship. Who this is? What's his name? George Clooney. People thought that he was going to be single for his entire life. He was going to die alone.
He met them all.
Right. I don't know her name, actually.
Something like that.
Yeah. And she knocked his socks off. They're married. They've got a baby now. Like, he was just waiting for, the right one. So, however long it took him to do that, whatever the case may be. Idris Elba. People thought that he was going to be a perpetual bachelor. And he's married now.
How old is he, though? He just got married.
He's 50, 40, 50.
That's a long time.
I mean, George Clooney was the same age.
I agree. I think that's the point. Oprah is old, too.
But men are able to have kids. As long as everything's functioning, men are able to have kids until they die.
I'm with that.
So the pressure on them to get, especially when you make a lot of money, so finances isn't a huge issue as far as like being able to provide for a family. Like, they weren't in a rush because they didn't need to be. They could sow their oats and go out there and be in the streets.
Right, but I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about regular people.
Oh, regular people. Yeah, I don't know about regular people. Like, they just be doing stuff.
And so we've talked about, what are your goals in a relationship? And I think, and when we talked about gender roles last time, and I think the combination of the two is why I ask which is easier, or more natural. I think there's a desire to want to be loved. I think there's a desire to want to love one person. I 100% agree. But the effort and work that it takes to keep that one person, it's easy to get somebody. But the effort to keep someone in today's society, to fight for something that you believe in, I feel like isn't what it used to be. I feel like we see it with, whether it be stocks, which that's kind of different because the goal is to make money. But in friendships, cancel culture, TV shows, our lives are built around going from one thing to the next. And I feel like that plays itself out in relationships. And that we're taught and shown from a very early age to go from one thing to the next. You go from classes, you go from bank accounts, just like cars, houses. Like, that is how we are conditioned to go from one thing to the next. And marriage, and especially as hard as marriage is the complete opposite of that. Everything in your life stops to stay married and to make marriage work. And then not only does it stop for you, then you have to start taking on someone else's stuff. We joke about the closet and how when I was alone, I had an entire house of closet space. And since I got married, I've lost almost all my closet space.
I know you haven't lost almost all your closet
I've lost
space.
almost all my closet space.
Bruh.
I've retaken some territory in some other rooms.
I'm so done with you.
I lost my office. And then I got a second office, and then I lost that again.
You didn't lose it. We just
I got
shared
a cricket on my office. I don't don't even know how to use a Cricut. And it's in my office. I got a shelf on the wall in my office.
That we needed for organization.
Yeah, yes, we did. But guess how much of my stuff is in that shelf?
I asked you if you wanted to put anything in there.
And it's full with your stuff.
If you wanted to put anything in there, there's space for you.
Yeah, okay. So, the point in, like, that's hard.
Savage.
That's difficult. And again, those are really small things, but it's a lot of stuff like that that comes with marriage and comes with relationship. And I think it's just difficult, especially when you have a history of mingling and meeting people and going from one person to the next to then settle. It sounds good until you realize what 5 years with the same person
really looks like.
Feels
Dang,
like.
and we're only 2 years in.
We're only 2.
Good night. Is it after midnight?
No,
not yet.
So yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents on it. I think relationship goals are great, but I think what the goals are super flawed and superficial. And until we get what true goals in relationships should be, we'll continue to see a bunch of failed relationships.
That's really bleak.
I just looked at the numbers. And then when you got every rapper saying sleep with a bunch of women, and all the women rappers saying sleep with a bunch of men, and then the entertainers that you see, your role models, don't have successful relationships. Like,
I guess my thing is, like, I look at other people's relationships and I pick and choose little things that I like, that I see, and would, obviously like to try to emulate in our relationship. But generally speaking, like, I don't base my relationship goals on any of that. Because, again, for what it's worth, all those celebrity people and famous people, a lot of the times their relationships don't last. So for me, I look at who we are, what we want to build together, and decide what can I do every day, every week to make sure that happens. And that's my goal. My goal is us. So, yeah.
Well, if you decide to buy me a black Lambo like Kim bought Kanye, I'd be really excited. Those are my goals.
World Callus LLC is not that profitable yet, sir. We'll have to keep working on it.
Put it on your vision board.
Okay.
But yeah, man. We appreciate y'all. Hope you guys enjoyed today's conversation on relationship goals. We're going to do a lot more stuff based on our relationship, based on our parenting, based on real life and how it relates to us, and hopefully how it relates to y'all. So continue to like, share, and subscribe. I'm going to come up with like a catchy send-off that I just ain't got yet. Feel free to put it in the comments and I'll work with that, or my creative wife over here can try and come up with something too. But in the great words of Warner Brother. That's all, folks.
That's
Have a good
all,
one.
folks. Porky Pig.